Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's life? Like every decision you make, every step you take, every choice you make is shaped not by what you truly want, but by what others think? It's a haunting question, isn't it? The feeling of waking up one day and realizing you're not where you want to be because you've spent your life chasing someone else's dream. We all have a part of us that wonders if we're doing the right thing, if we're walking the path we've truly chosen. But what if I told you that the path most of us are walking isn't really ours at all? Bruce Lee once said, "Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own." And yet most people do the exact opposite. Most people spend their lives absorbing what others want for them, discarding what their heart truly desires, and adding only what society expects them to be. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror, but the reflection staring back at you isn't really you. It's a version of yourself that's been sculpted by everyone but you, by society, by family expectations, by the fear of breaking free from the chains of judgment. Now take a moment. Really think about it. When was the last time you did something for yourself? Not for validation, not for likes or comments or approval, but just because it made you truly happy. Think about the last time you made a decision that was yours and yours alone, without worrying about how others would perceive it. We grow up hearing things like 1 inch. What will people say? 2 inches. This is how life works. 3 inches. You need to follow the rules, but here's the kicker. Who made these rules? Who decided that you have to follow a script someone else wrote for you? More importantly, why do we blindly follow them? Why do we let others dictate what we should want in life? Bruce Lee was a man who never followed someone else's script. He was rejected in Hollywood, told he wasn't American enough, and even mocked for his beliefs. But did he let that stop him? Number. He refused to let anyone else define him. He didn't let society dictate his future or tell him what he could or couldn't achieve. He lived life on his own terms. Let's think about it for a second. How many people are stuck in careers they hate just because society says it's respectable? How many people get married to someone they don't truly love just because it's what's expected of them? How many people die with regrets, realizing they never really lived their own lives? Psychologists have a term for this, the social mask syndrome. It's a condition where people wear different masks to please society, suppressing their true selves to fit in. It's a life spent acting rather than living. Bruce Lee called it an illusion. To hell with circumstances, I create opportunities. But let me ask you, what if you stopped? What if, starting today, you decided to live for yourself? Think about it. Would people judge you? Yes. Would some relationships change? Absolutely. Would it be scary? Without a doubt. But here's the real question. Would it be worth it? Before you answer, let me tell you a story. A story of someone who had everything. Fame, fortune, success. But one day made a shocking decision that left everyone speechless. The illusion of a perfect life. Meet Daniel. On the surface, he had it all. An impressive job, a luxurious apartment, a social circle that admired him, and an Instagram feed that was the envy of many. His life looked perfect from the outside. But behind the scenes, something was missing, something essential. He felt empty. And that emptiness came from the realization that every decision he'd made in his life was driven by one thing: what others expected of him. He didn't study business because he loved it. He studied business because his father believed it was the only practical choice. He didn't travel the world exploring new cultures and experiences because his friends mocked the idea. He never challenged his toxic workplace because society taught him that job security was more important than happiness. And so he played his role perfectly, just like everyone else. He wore the mask of success, but one day everything changed. The breaking point. It happened one evening at a dinner with his colleagues. There was laughter, clinking glasses, and the usual chatter about work and life. But then a conversation struck Daniel to his core. One of his colleagues, Richard, was retiring after 40 years of service in the company. There were toasts, congratulations, and applause. But then someone asked Richard what his biggest regret was. The answer left the room silent. "I never lived for myself," Richard said quietly. "I spent my entire life making others happy. following rules I never questioned, and now I don't even know who I am. That moment hit Daniel like a ton of bricks. That night he couldn't sleep. All he could think about was whether he was walking down the same path as Richard. Was he too living for others, chasing a dream that wasn't his? Would he wake up one day only to realize that he never truly lived for himself? The weight of expectations. Bruce Lee often spoke about breaking free from illusions. He understood that society pressures us to conform, to suppress our true desires in favor of fitting into a mold that was never made for us. Psychologists call it the false self syndrome. It's a condition where we suppress our true selves to fit into the mold of what society expects. But in doing so, we lose our authenticity. Daniel began to see how deep this issue ran. He saw it in his parents, who had once dreamed of becoming artists, but settled for safe, conventional jobs because it was the responsible thing to do. He saw it in his friends who laughed at their own dreams because they were too afraid of being judged. And then he looked at himself. The cost of choosing yourself. The next morning, Daniel did something he had never imagined himself doing. He called in sick, packed a small bag, and left for the countryside. No emails, no phone calls, no social media. He just walked away. And in that moment, as he sat alone under the vast sky, the fear set in. What if people thought he was crazy? What if his boss fired him? What if his friends stopped talking to him? Bruce Lee once said, "I am not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you are not in this world to live up to mine." It hit him. The truth is, you'll be judged no matter what you do. But when you live for yourself, when you follow your heart, at least you can live with the satisfaction that the choices you make are yours and yours alone. That night under the stars, Daniel made a decision, a real decision. He was going to rewrite his life, even if it meant disappointing people. Breaking free, Daniel didn't return to his job. Instead, he resigned. He didn't give a long explanation or seek validation. He sent a simple email saying, "I'm choosing myself for the first time." Some called him reckless. Some thought he was making a huge mistake. But for the first time in years, Daniel felt alive. He was free. Bruce Lee once said, "The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering." And that's exactly what Daniel did. He started doing things he had always dreamed of, things he'd suppressed for years. He traveled. He learned photography. He began writing about his experiences, sharing his story with others. And as he did, he realized something powerful. True freedom isn't about escaping society. It's about refusing to let society control you. Real-life proof. The people who chose themselves. Bruce Lee was the ultimate example of someone who refused to be limited by society's expectations. He wasn't given lead roles in Hollywood, so he created his own. He was told martial arts wouldn't be accepted in the West, so he changed the game. He didn't ask for permission. He carved his own path. And Daniel realized that he could do the same. The final choice. Years later, Daniel sat in a cafe, overhearing another conversation. A young man was lamenting about how much he hated his job, but was afraid to quit because, what would people say? Daniel smiled. He'd been that guy. He understood, but not anymore. And now the question is, who are you? Are you living for yourself? Or are you still trapped in the expectations of others? Your life is happening right now. Every second you spend worrying about what others think is a second you'll never get back. Bruce Lee once said, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do." So I ask you one final question. Will you choose yourself before it's too late?